The rising shadow. The galaxy was vast, older than most could imagine, and yet even in its age it had its secrets. Among the swirling nebulae, pulsars and uncharted star systems, the Ancient Galactic Council held dominion over interstellar politics, balance, and the stewardship of countless civilizations. For eons they had guided younger species, ensuring that no race grew reckless enough to threaten the delicate harmony of the cosmos. In the Council's grand chambers on Erythra Prime, a planet suspended in the orbit of a dying star, the air shimmered with energy. The halls were vast, their walls carved from living crystal that refracted the faint light of the red sun into cascading rainbows. The floors hummed with subtle vibrations, resonating with the collective consciousness of the Council's oldest members. Among them, Thaler Vera, a being whose silver-scaled skin shimmered like starlight, moved with graceful authority. His eyes, luminescent and reflective, scanned the data streams projected in midair, each representing the status of civilizations scattered across the galaxy. Beside him stood Oren Kale, a reptilian tactician with emerald-green eyes that glimmered with calculation. Oren had seen countless empires rise and fall, and though he respected the Council's protocols, he had learned never to underestimate the unpredictable. Today, his gaze was fixed on a projection that made even his scales bristle with unease. "This signal, it's unlike anything we've encountered before," Thaler said, his voice echoing in the crystalline chamber. The projection displayed fleets of sleek, modular starships, radiating with an energy signature that was part organic, part mechanical. "Humans," he said almost to himself. The name alone sparked debate. Humans were a young species in galactic terms, still primitive compared to the ancient civilizations represented in the Council. Yet the data suggested something extraordinary. The humans weren't just exploring, they were expanding. Colonies that had once been small and scattered were now hubs of activity, bristling with starships capable of overwhelming older, slower-moving alien fleets. Oren's tail swished in irritation. "They are reckless. But it isn't recklessness that worries me," he said, his voice low and sharp. "It is their adaptability. Every strategy we've observed they counter with something unexpected. They do not follow patterns, they innovate. And worse, they unite quickly. Where other species fracture under pressure, humans consolidate." Thaler's eyes narrowed. "They will soon reach our borders. And when they do, the balance we have maintained for millennia will be challenged. We must decide, containment, guidance, or confrontation." Their debate was interrupted by a soft, almost imperceptible shimmer in the corner of the chamber. From the shadows emerged Lyra Nivek, her lithe form humanoid but with eyes like liquid silver, reflecting both the stars and truths hidden within them. She moved with quiet purpose, a messenger of secrets only whispered among the oldest factions. "You both worry too much about the obvious," Lyra said, her voice melodic yet tinged with authority. "The humans are not simply a threat or a curiosity. They are a variable, one that some of us have been waiting for." Thaler turned sharply. "Explain." Lyra's gaze swept the chamber. "There are forces you do not perceive. Hidden factions, ancient even by our standards. Watch these humans. They manipulate events from the shadows, shaping outcomes without revealing themselves. The Umbral Synod, for example, has been silent for centuries, yet now they stir. They see the humans as the key to something far greater than expansion or conquest." Oren hissed softly, a sound of both caution and curiosity. "The Umbral Synod rarely acts directly. Their influence is subtle, sometimes invisible. If they are involved, it complicates matters." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. These humans are not simply evolving, they are being guided, tested, and observed. And the outcome will ripple across the galaxy in ways the Council cannot yet predict." Meanwhile, on the fringes of known space, the humans were already making waves. The Orion Dominion, a rapidly growing human empire, had established its presence in sectors far beyond their homeworld, New Avalon. Their fleets were modest in size but astonishingly efficient, demonstrating an instinctive understanding of tactics that few alien species could counter. On board the Dominion's flagship, the Resolute, Admiral Kalen Riss reviewed recent reports from reconnaissance vessels. His sharp eyes scanned over star charts filled with enemy positions, trade routes, and uncharted wormholes. Beside him, Captain Saris Vol adjusted her holo display, showing simulations of potential encounters. "They think they are ready for us," Kalen muttered, a small smile tugging at his lips. "But no one has ever faced humans quite like this." Saris frowned. "We are outnumbered in most of the sectors we plan to enter. Alien fleets vastly outgun us." "Numbers are irrelevant when ingenuity is on your side," Kalen replied, his tone calm yet filled with quiet determination. Every fleet, every strategy they deploy, we will learn from it. Every failure will teach us, every victory will inspire us. That is humanity's advantage, we adapt faster than anyone expects. Unbeknownst to both the Council and the humans, a silent war of observation had already begun. Agents of the Umbral Synod drifted among the stars, unseen and undetected, recording every human action, every council debate, every strategic decision. Their purpose was not destruction, it was orchestration. Every move, every response, was a piece of a larger design that had been in motion for centuries. Back on Erythra Prime, Lyra observed the star systems flickering on the Council's display. If we confront them too soon, we risk escalation, she warned. If we wait too long, we risk losing control entirely. Yet there is potential here, potential that no other species possesses. Thaler exhaled slowly, silver scales catching the light. Potential, yes. But potential can be dangerous if left unchecked. Humans are young, ambitious, and unpredictable. If their ambition is misaligned with the Council's vision, chaos will follow. Orin leaned forward, voice sharp with emphasis. And if their ambition aligns with the Umbral Synod's vision? Then even chaos would serve a purpose we cannot yet comprehend. This could be the beginning of something far larger than any of us realize. As they spoke, stars outside the Council's chambers shimmered in quiet resonance, as if aware that the galaxy was on the cusp of change. Somewhere in the deep void, fleets moved, secrets whispered, and destinies were quietly rewritten. The humans, unaware yet inherently powerful, were beginning their ascent. And in the shadows, the Ancient Galactic Council understood, with a mixture of awe and apprehension, that the galaxy was about to witness the rise of a force unlike any other. Humanity was no longer just another species among many, it was a catalyst. And the age of the unknown had only just begun. The rising shadow of the Orion Dominion stretched across the stars, a subtle yet undeniable mark of change. And as the Council debated and secretive factions maneuvered unseen, one truth became clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. The Council's dilemma. The air on Erythra Prime had a tension all its own. Outside the crystalline walls of the Council chambers, the dying sun cast long blood-red shadows across the vast terraces. Within, the Ancient Galactic Council continued their debate, voices echoing softly yet with weight, carrying centuries of authority and wisdom. Thaler Vera paced, each step resonating in the polished floors, reflecting his unease. He had long witnessed the rise and fall of empires, yet humanity, this young, chaotic species, was unlike any he had encountered. Their actions defied conventional logic, their strategy seemed almost instinctive, and their unity in times of crisis was a phenomenon even the Council struggled to comprehend. We cannot approach them with the usual methods, Thaler said, stopping before the holographic projection of human fleets scattered across multiple star systems. They are not merely explorers or raiders. They are something new. Adaptive, resilient, and unpredictable. If we act too soon, we risk turning them against us. If we wait, they may grow too strong to contain. Orin Kale's scales rippled with agitation as he leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Containment is no longer an option. Even if the Council commands it, humans do not behave like other species. Their fleets evolve faster than our projections. And it is not just their technology, it is their ingenuity, their ability to think beyond limitations. We could deploy 1,000 ships against them and still lose to a single human captain who sees a solution none of us anticipated. From the shadows, Lyra Nivek stepped forward. Her silver eyes glimmered with quiet intensity. You both focus on what humans are. I am concerned with what they represent. The Umbral Synod has stirred after centuries of silence. Their agents are already in place, observing humans, nudging events. Whatever humans do next, it will ripple through the galaxy, not just as conquest or rebellion but as transformation. And some of us are not ready to see what that transformation entails. A murmur spread across the chamber. The older members of the Council, beings whose forms ranged from crystalline to gaseous, whispered to one another, debating in languages that vibrated beyond human comprehension. Transformation or chaos? Orin hissed almost rhetorically. There is little difference when you are dealing with humans. Their unpredictability is their strength, yes, but it is also a danger. A single misstep could ignite war across star systems that have been peaceful for millennia. Thaler regarded him carefully. Yet perhaps that is precisely why humans may be necessary. The galaxy has stagnated. Our guidance has kept species in check, yes, but in doing so we have limited innovation, restrained evolution. Humans may be the first race capable of pushing beyond our constraints. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. And yet, the Synod will not allow them to act freely. The humans are part of a larger design, one older than the Council itself. Every discovery they make, every battle they win, is being recorded, analyzed, and subtly influenced. The Synod seeks an outcome we may not understand until it is complete. If the Council intervenes without caution, we may disrupt that design, or become targets ourselves. The chamber fell silent, the weight of centuries pressing down on every word. The human fleets continued their slow march across the outer sectors, oblivious to the cosmic chess game unfolding around them. Yet their rise was impossible to ignore. Reports of human ingenuity, repurposed alien technology, unorthodox battle strategies, and the formation of coalitions with alien species previously unknown to one another, arrived daily. "We face a dilemma," Thaler continued, his voice resonating like a low hum. "Do we confront the humans directly, risk provoking a conflict with a species that learns faster than any of us, or do we attempt guidance, covertly, subtly, as we have with other young civilizations?" Oren's eyes glimmered with something harsher than contemplation, fear and anticipation intertwined. "Guidance assumes they are malleable. They are not. Humans are not easily bound by suggestion or diplomacy. If you try to steer them, they will resist, adapt, and overcome. The very act of guidance could accelerate their growth beyond our control." Lyra's gaze shifted to the Council holograms again. The humans were not a threat yet, they were too far from the Council's core territories, but the signal of their potential was unmistakable. "I have studied their history," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Every time they are challenged, every time they are underestimated, they rise stronger. They have survived catastrophes, wars, and even internal betrayal. That resilience, it is unparalleled. And it will matter soon." A younger member of the Council, a luminous entity named Vexari, spoke hesitantly. "Are we suggesting that humans may surpass even the most advanced races of the galaxy? That one species, still young, could influence the fate of countless worlds?" Thaler's gaze hardened. "Not just influence. They could redefine the rules of the galaxy itself. And while that is a terrifying thought, it is also inevitable. The question is whether the Council will shape their rise, or be swept aside by it." Oren leaned back, tail coiling tightly around his feet. "I do not trust their motives, they are human after all. Ambition drives them. Curiosity drives them. And often, curiosity is more dangerous than aggression. A human seeking knowledge will cross boundaries that even we have respected for centuries." Lyra interjected, her tone calm but urgent. "Exactly. And that is why some factions of the galaxy's hidden powers, the Synod, the Crimson Oath, and others, are taking a personal interest. If humans continue to grow unchecked, they will force a confrontation sooner or later. The question is who will shape the outcome, the Council, the humans themselves, or the unseen manipulators in the shadows." A sudden vibration rippled through the chamber. A message from the outer sectors arrived, encrypted in a pattern that only the Council could interpret. Thaler reached out with one elongated hand and activated the holo display. The message projected images of human fleets entering previously restricted sectors, exploring wormholes, and establishing contact with alien civilizations that had never interacted before. "They are faster than we predicted," Thaler murmured. "And they are learning." Oren's sharp gaze scanned the projections. "Every step they take shows intelligence and strategy beyond their years. And yet, they are still vulnerable. One coordinated effort could crush them." Lyra's silver eyes reflected both hope and concern. "Perhaps. But remember, vulnerability alone does not define them. Humans turn adversity into strength. If they survive the first challenge, they will emerge stronger, wiser, and more unpredictable. Every action we take now must consider that." The Council sat in tense silence. Outside, the dying sun bathed Erythra Prime in crimson light, as if warning them of the uncertain future ahead. Within, the oldest beings of the galaxy debated not merely strategy but destiny itself. Humanity, in its young brilliance, had become the fulcrum upon which the galaxy would pivot. And in the shadows beyond the chambers, hidden eyes watched, silent and calculating. The Umbral Synod had already begun their subtle interventions. Every human decision, every Council debate, was now part of a greater experiment. One that would test the resilience, ingenuity, and courage of a species the galaxy had not yet learned to understand. The dilemma was no longer theoretical. The humans were coming. And whether the Council acted to guide, confront, or contain them, the universe itself would be reshaped. The rising shadow had only just begun. The first encounter. The outer rim of the galaxy had always been a place of darkness and whispers, a region where few dared to travel and even fewer dared to challenge the unknown. Yet for the humans of the Orion Dominion, the outer rim represented opportunity. Stars untapped, worlds uncharted, civilizations yet to understand the full scope of humanity's reach. Aboard the Dominion's flagship, the Resolute, Admiral Kalen Riss stood before the main viewport, his eyes scanning the vastness of space. The ship's engines hummed softly, a rhythm of power and control. Beside him, Captain Saris Vol monitored the tactical feeds, her brow furrowed as the alien fleet materialized from subspace. "Sensors confirm," Saris said, her voice taut with anticipation. "Council warships at least twice our number blocking the sector. They're heavily armed and maintaining formation. They've detected our presence." Kalen's jaw tightened, but he remained calm. Calm was a human trait alien commanders often underestimated. "Prepare for communication attempts first," he said, his voice steady. "They need to know we mean no harm, for now. But ready all defensive systems. If diplomacy fails, we survive first, analyze second." The alien ships shimmered with energy shields, their forms elegant and intimidating. The Council had sent a fleet to enforce boundaries as they always did, but none had anticipated encountering humans capable of responding with such strategic precision. "They're approaching," Saris added, tension evident in her tone. "And they're adjusting formation as we predicted." Kalen allowed a small smile. "Good. Let them assume they understand us. Humans rarely follow expectation. That is our advantage." The alien commander, Orin Kale's protege Varen Thale, addressed them through a holographic projection. His appearance was startling, emerald scales glinting under alien light, eyes calculating and sharp. His voice, amplified across the void, resonated with authority. "Humans of the Orion Dominion," he said, "you are trespassing in Council territory. Turn back or face destruction." Kalen stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. "We do not seek conflict," he replied firmly. "We are explorers and negotiators. We have no desire to provoke, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." Varen's eyes narrowed, skeptical. Few races would have the courage to speak so boldly. Most would flee. "Most are predictable," Kalen said, his gaze unwavering. "Humans are not." For a moment, silence hung in the void, broken only by the faint hum of the alien engines and the flicker of distant stars. Then the first shots rang out. Not from the Council fleet, but from humans adapting faster than anticipated. The Resolute activated its defensive shields, which modulated in real time to the alien energy pulses. Simultaneously, smaller frigates flanked the larger battleships, maneuvering with a level of coordination that left even seasoned alien commanders off balance. "They are adapting," one alien officer muttered, disbelief coloring her voice. "Every attack we predicted, they countered differently. Faster than any intelligence report suggested." Kalen observed the fleet's movements with satisfaction. Humans thrived in chaos. Every maneuver, every defensive adjustment, displayed their inherent ingenuity. Their technology, though less advanced than some Council designs, was modular and adaptable, allowing the crew to improvise on the fly. Saris leaned close to Kalen. "Admiral, the Council warships are recalibrating. They're realizing we're unpredictable. If we maintain pressure but don't escalate, they might reconsider conflict." Kalen nodded. "Exactly. Humans fight smarter, not just harder. They respect strength but leverage strategy. We give them a reason to negotiate and we remain in control." The battle was brief but illuminating. Human ships used terrain, asteroid fields, energy storms, even gravitational anomalies, to their advantage. They deployed decoys, feigned retreats, and counterattacks that seemed improvised yet were precise. Every move was a learning opportunity, feeding into the next, demonstrating why humans were becoming the galaxy's anomaly. As the skirmish reached its peak, a subspace communicator blinked aboard the Resolute. It was an encrypted transmission, faint but unmistakable. Lyra Nivek's message from the Umbral Synod reached Kalen before the Council could act. "Observe, adapt, and endure," it said. "Your survival will be a lesson to all who doubt you. But beware, the shadows move in ways the Council cannot predict." Kalen studied the message for a moment, then looked out at the alien fleet. "Humans have faced impossible odds before," he said quietly. "And every time, they find a way. This is just another lesson, not the end." The Council fleet, witnessing the humans' ingenuity firsthand, hesitated. They had expected either submission or predictable resistance. Instead, they saw coordination, bravery, and a form of creative problem-solving no ancient race had anticipated. Whispers rippled through the alien ranks. They learn. They adapt. Lyra Nivek observed the battle through a secretive subspace link, her silver eyes reflecting both concern and fascination. The humans were performing as expected, yet differently than even the Synod anticipated. Each action fed into their growing legend. Humans as catalysts of change, humans as unpredictable forces capable of challenging millennia-old authority. They are extraordinary, Lyra murmured. Not because of power alone but because of their resilience and ingenuity. They will not be controlled, nor will they be easily destroyed. Their rise, it cannot be ignored. At the end of the encounter, neither side had suffered catastrophic loss. The human fleet withdrew strategically, not out of defeat, but to maintain initiative and observe the alien response. The Council, shaken by what they had seen, retreated to re-evaluate. Humans had survived, learned, and demonstrated potential far beyond their years. "Remember this," Kalen said to his crew as they regrouped, "we do not fight as others do. We fight to learn, to survive, and to adapt. That is what makes us human. And that is why we will endure." In the shadows, the Umbral Synod recorded everything, satisfied. Humans were no longer just a curiosity, they were an experiment in motion, a force that would influence the galaxy's balance. And as the Resolute moved deeper into the unknown sectors, a new chapter of galactic history quietly began. One where humans would define their own destiny, regardless of the ancient powers watching from afar. The first encounter was over. But the story had only just begun. Hidden agendas. The galaxy is vast, but in its shadows, nothing is ever truly hidden. As the Orion Dominion retreated from its first encounter with the Council fleet, the humans were unaware that unseen forces had already begun to shape their destiny. Not all threats came with weapons drawn. Some wielded secrets, patience, and subtlety far deadlier than any starship cannon. Far from the human fleet, on the hidden moon of Virelia, a conclave of secretive factions convened. The chamber was circular, carved into obsidian stone, lit by faintly pulsing crystals embedded in the walls. Here gathered the Umbral Synod, the Crimson Oath, and the enigmatic Veil of Shadows, ancient alien orders whose motives were opaque, their influence long-reaching. Lyra Nivek stood in the center, an emissary and witness to their deliberations. Her silver eyes reflected the dim light as she observed the gathering. "The humans are not merely evolving, they are becoming essential," she murmured. "The galaxy's balance will shift around them, whether the Council or any of us are ready." A tall figure from the Umbral Synod, Voron Kiel, leaned forward, his presence more felt than seen. "The humans act without tradition, without fear of precedent," he said. "Their unpredictability is perfect for our purposes. Every encounter with the Council, every expansion, feeds the design we've orchestrated for centuries." From the Crimson Oath, a warrior clad in crimson-tinted armor, Kaylee's Thorn, slammed a clawed fist against the table. "Design or no design, they cannot be allowed to grow unchecked. One species so bold, so adaptive, it is dangerous. I say we strike now while they are still vulnerable." Lyra's gaze hardened. "And provoke war? Do you not see? Every attack will teach them. Every confrontation will strengthen them. The humans do not fear power, they respect it, but they adapt faster than we can predict. Strike them now, and you create a species capable of challenging even the Synod." From the shadows, a representative of the Veil of Shadows, Nisera Valen, spoke quietly, her voice almost ethereal. "Strength is not always measured in fleets or firepower. Influence can be subtler. Humans respond to ideas, to inspiration. Those who guide them without being seen can shape outcomes far more effectively than overt force ever could." Lyra's eyes flickered with realization. "You mean, we guide them? Shape them from behind the veil?" Nisera nodded. "Precisely. Their potential is unmatched because it is unbounded. Let them face challenges, adapt, and overcome. Let them survive. And in doing so, let them choose the alliances, enemies, and strategies that serve a larger purpose. Subtlety ensures they never suspect the full extent of influence upon them. They must believe their victories are their own." Kaylee's Thorn growled. "And if they fail?" Voron Kiel's voice was calm, calculated. "Failure is instructive. Every loss, every mistake will teach them. They are remarkably resilient. Humans do not collapse under adversity, they learn from it. That is why we do not intervene directly. Every confrontation, every test strengthens them in ways nothing else can. The galaxy itself will bend around their rise." The human fleets continued to move through uncharted space. On board the Resolute, Admiral Kalen Riss convened with his senior officers. The first encounter with the Council was not decisive, Kalen said, voice calm but filled with determination. But it confirmed something essential. Humans can endure, adapt, and strategize under pressure like no other species we've encountered. That is our advantage. That is our strength. Captain Saris Val's voice carried concern. Admiral, sensors have detected anomalies, subtle signals in the sectors we passed. They are faint, encrypted, and deliberately hidden. Could be Council monitoring, or worse, something we can't detect fully. Kalen's expression hardened. That is exactly what I expect. The galaxy is watching us. Let them watch. Every signal, every observation, every calculated risk teaches us more about our enemies, and about ourselves. Humans survive by understanding, adapting, and acting. We will continue to do so. Meanwhile, the Umbral Synod's agents whispered across hidden channels, their surveillance invisible, yet omnipresent. Each fleet movement, each tactical decision, each choice made by humans was logged and analyzed. The Synod's aim was subtle but far-reaching. Create an environment where humans could grow beyond the constraints of any single faction, guided indirectly toward the culmination of a centuries-old plan. In the Council's chambers, the debate continued. Thaler Vera and Oren Kale reviewed reports from the Outer Rim, increasingly concerned. They learned too quickly, Oren said, frustration evident in his tone. Every pattern we predicted they countered. Every strategy they adapted. If left unchecked, they will surpass expectations, and possibly surpass the Council itself. Lyra Nivek spoke softly, her tone carrying the weight of quiet knowledge. That is the point. Humans are not meant to be contained or controlled. Their value lies in their independence, their ingenuity, their unpredictability. They will challenge tradition, yes, but in doing so, they may unify factions that have remained divided for millennia. They are catalysts. Thaler's eyes flickered with conflicted thought. Catalysts are dangerous, and yet necessary. I do not know if we are ready to embrace what they may become. But neither can we ignore them. From the shadows of Virilia, the secretive factions agreed on a plan. Allow the humans to grow, guide them subtly through inspiration and hidden influence, and prepare the galaxy for the inevitable confrontation between tradition and innovation. The humans would unknowingly face trials designed to strengthen them, to test their courage, ingenuity, and resilience. Back on the Resolute, Kalen Riss surveyed the stars. The human fleet had survived the first Council engagement, and yet, even without knowing it, they had stepped onto a stage far larger than they imagined. Every decision, every tactical innovation was observed, weighed, and recorded by beings whose reach extended across centuries. They are testing us, Kalen murmured, more to himself than anyone else. But no one has ever truly tested humanity and succeeded. We survive, adapt, and overcome. That is what makes us human. That is why we endure. And we will not just survive, we will shape the galaxy itself. Lyra Nivek watched silently from the shadows, reflecting on the duality of the human's journey. They were vulnerable, yes, and yet every challenge made them stronger. Every observation, every subtle nudge from the factions, built a species capable of achieving greatness that few could yet imagine. The galaxy's hidden agendas had been set into motion, a complex web of manipulation, observation, and calculated opportunity. And at the center of it all, unaware of the forces quietly guiding their rise, humans continued to navigate the stars with courage, ingenuity, and the relentless drive to thrive. The first steps toward destiny had been taken. The galaxy's true tests were only beginning. The human initiative. The stars stretched endlessly before the Resolute, each one a potential world, a potential ally, or a potential challenge. Admiral Kalen Riss stood on the bridge, the weight of command settling comfortably on his shoulders. Unlike the Council fleets, humans did not rely on centuries of rigid protocol or inherited strategies. They relied on ingenuity, courage, and the ability to adapt, traits that had carried humanity through millennia of struggle. Captain, Kalen said, turning to Saris Val, our first engagement with the Council fleet confirmed what I already knew. Humans are capable of surviving almost anything, but surviving alone is not enough. We need to shape the galaxy's perception of us. Not as conquerors, not as threats, but as partners. Saris raised an eyebrow. Partners? With the Ancient Galactic Council? After they tried to stop us. Yes, Kalen replied firmly. Humans have something no other species possesses. Adaptability, creativity, and the ability to inspire. If we approach the Council with diplomacy, not defiance, we can turn potential enemies into allies, or at least neutral parties. The galaxy is watching us, Captain. Every decision matters. We survive, yes, but we must also lead. The plan was audacious. A diplomatic mission to Erythra Prime, the Council's seat of power, where humans would present themselves not as invaders, but as emissaries of curiosity, ingenuity, and potential collaboration. Kalen knew it would be risky. The Council had centuries of authority and immense power. One misstep could ignite war across multiple sectors. Prepare the communication arrays, Kalen ordered. Ensure our messages are clear, unambiguous, and culturally neutral. I want them to understand our intentions before they see our fleet. If they see us first, the message could be misinterpreted. Saris frowned, adjusting the holographic displays. Admiral, some of the Council members are unpredictable. Thaler Vera is wise, yes, but Orenkale is relentless. Their motives are complex and they rarely act as a unified body. Kalen nodded. All the more reason for diplomacy. Humans negotiate not with fear but with reason. We do not simply adapt, we inspire. That is our advantage. As the Resolute approached Erythra Prime, the humans prepared their message. Holographic projections depicted human accomplishments. Colonies thriving on harsh worlds, innovations in starship technology, and peaceful alliances with neighboring species. Every image, every phrase, was designed to communicate not power but potential. The council chambers on Erythra Prime shimmered as the humans' message arrived. Thaler Vera and Orenkale reviewed the projections in silence. Lyra Nivek observed with quiet anticipation. They are not merely asking for permission, Lyra noted. They are demonstrating capability, foresight, and respect. This is human diplomacy. Thaler's luminous eyes reflected both caution and curiosity. They approach as equals. They do not demand, they propose. That is unusual. Most young civilizations would send emissaries cloaked in fear or ambition. These humans? They inspire, Orenkale finished, his tone begrudgingly respectful. And that is exactly why they are dangerous. If the Council is to maintain influence over the galaxy, we must consider not only their strength but their ability to reshape alliances. The humans' fleet arrived at Erythra Prime under a banner of peace. Unlike the Council fleets, which exuded intimidating power and order, the Orion Dominion's ships carried a sense of confidence tempered by purpose. Every maneuver, every formation communicated discipline and readiness, but never aggression. Kalen Riss personally led the diplomatic envoy aboard the Council's central chamber. His presence was calm, confident, and utterly human, an image designed to impress not through intimidation, but through the unmistakable force of ingenuity and resolve. "We come in peace," Kalen began, voice steady and clear, echoing through the chamber. "We seek understanding, cooperation, and shared growth. Humans are capable of innovation, adaptation, and survival. But we are not merely survivors, we are builders. We wish to build together with the civilizations of this galaxy, not against them." Whispers spread among the Council members. This was unlike any species they had met. Humans did not plead, nor did they threaten. They presented their strengths, acknowledged their limitations, and offered collaboration, an approach unfamiliar to an ancient body accustomed to hierarchies, fear, and deference. Lyra Nivek watched Kalen carefully. "This is precisely what the Synod predicted," she whispered to herself. "Humans will challenge tradition not with power, but with presence, with ingenuity, and with courage." Orenkale's tail twitched in agitation. "They may survive the encounter," he muttered, "but can they survive scrutiny? Can they navigate the politics of the Council without being consumed?" "That is the beauty of humanity," Lyra replied softly. "They do not merely survive, they thrive in the challenge. They learn, they adapt, and they inspire. That is why they are already shaping destiny." Council discussions began, led by Thaler Vera. Unlike Orenkale, he recognized the significance of this human initiative. They approach not with weapons but with ideas. Their ingenuity is evident and their resilience, remarkable. Perhaps it is time the Council acknowledges that humans are not to be guided as other young civilizations have been. They are capable of guiding themselves, and perhaps, guiding the galaxy. Over the course of several cycles, humans engaged with various Council factions, not as subordinates but as equals. They proposed alliances with neutral systems, offered technology exchanges, and even mediated minor conflicts between smaller species. Everywhere they went, humans inspired hope, confidence, and admiration. Even Orenkale began to reconsider. He had expected arrogance, recklessness, or fear, but instead he witnessed a species whose strength lay not in domination, but in intelligence, empathy, and resilience. "They are extraordinary," he admitted quietly. Not because of power but because of courage and ingenuity. They will not merely survive, they will shape the galaxy's future. Lyra Nivek's eyes sparkled with quiet pride and anticipation. The humans had passed their first true test. Not the battle with the Council fleet but the test of diplomacy, perception, and influence. And in doing so they had proven something profound. Humans were not just participants in the galaxy's story, they were catalysts. Kalen Riss returned to the Resolute, watching the stars stretch into the unknown. "This is only the beginning," he said to Saris Vol. "We have survived, we have inspired, and we have proven our worth. But the galaxy is vast and the challenges are far from over. Every choice we make now shapes the future, not just for humans but for every civilization that shares these stars." The human initiative had begun, not with weapons but with courage, wisdom, and vision. The galaxy would remember this moment. The moment humans chose to step forward not as conquerors but as leaders, innovators, and unifiers. And in the shadows, the secretive factions watched, their calculations quiet but ever-present. Humans were on the rise and the game of destiny, the delicate balance of influence, power, and ingenuity, had truly begun. The galaxy had taken notice. Shadows and revelations. Even as humans celebrated their diplomatic victories, the galaxy's shadows stirred. Not all eyes that watched the Orion Dominion's rise were benign. Some observed with admiration, others with impatience, and a few with intentions far older and darker than any human could comprehend. On the hidden moon of Virilia, the Umbral Synod convened once more. Lyra Nivek stood among them, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of the chamber's embedded crystals. "The humans have passed the first trial," she said, her voice echoing softly. "They have survived the Council fleet, engaged diplomatically, and inspired. Yet the greater tests are still ahead." Voron Kjell, leader of the Synod's inner circle, tilted his head, his form almost indistinct in the dim light. "They grow too fast even by our expectations. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, these are traits we anticipated, but the way they wield them, it is unpredictable." From the shadows, Nisra Valen of the Veil of Shadows added, her voice like silk over steel, "Unpredictability is what makes them perfect. The Council sees only a rising threat, but they are unaware that every human choice, every adaptation, is weaving a path we designed centuries ago. They will face challenges meant to shape, not destroy, their species." Kaylee's Thorn of the Crimson Oath slammed his armored fist against the obsidian table. "I do not care if it was designed centuries ago. One wrong step from these humans and the galaxy will burn. They are reckless, ambitious, and yet, too clever to underestimate. I say we test them, push them into conflict, and see what they are truly capable of." Lyra turned sharply. "That is exactly what we must avoid. Direct conflict strengthens them in ways you do not anticipate. Every trial they survive makes them stronger, wiser, and more resourceful. They are humans, they adapt faster than any single species even the Synod can predict. Subtlety is our weapon, not overt force." Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim, humans continued their exploration and diplomatic mission. The Orion Dominion had established preliminary contact with several independent star systems, many of which had long existed in isolation or under subtle coercion by minor alien factions. The humans' reputation as ingenious problem solvers spread like wildfire. Where disputes arose, human negotiators found solutions that alien diplomats would never have considered, blending logic, empathy, and ingenuity in ways the galaxy had rarely witnessed. On board the Resolute, Kalen Riss reviewed intelligence from recently contacted systems. "Captain Vol, our methods are working. More systems are willing to cooperate with humans than we anticipated. But, something feels off." Saris Vol looked at him sharply. "Off? What do you mean?" "Signals," Kalen said quietly, "faint, encrypted, and deliberate. They don't come from the Council or the known factions we've met. Someone is watching, learning. And I have the uneasy feeling they aren't just observing." At the same time, Lyra Nivek discreetly sent a subspace message to Kalen. "You are being tested," it read. "Not by the Council or its fleets, but by forces that prefer to remain unseen. Adapt, survive, and observe. These trials are not to punish but to shape. Trust your instincts, they are humanity's greatest weapon." Kalen frowned, reading the message. "Tests, not threats," he muttered. "Very well. Humans have faced impossible odds before. We survive. We adapt. And we learn." The first subtle test came in the form of an uncharted nebula, dense with ion storms and radiation pockets, yet traversed by a small fleet of neutral alien ships on a peaceful mission. The humans faced a decision: avoid the nebula, potentially missing critical opportunities, or navigate its perils to demonstrate their capability and reliability. We navigate, Kalen decided, his voice steady. Humans do not shy from challenges. We observe, adapt, and overcome. That is what makes us leaders, not followers. As the Resolute and its fleet entered the nebula, the ion storms tested shields and propulsion systems. Sensors flickered, communications were disrupted, and energy surges threatened to disable navigation arrays. Yet human ingenuity prevailed. Modular shielding and adaptive thrusters allowed ships to react instantly to environmental hazards. Pilots improvised in real time, coordinating maneuvers that alien observers had never anticipated. Hidden within the nebula, agents of the Synod, Veil of Shadows, and Crimson Oath watched silently. Every adaptation, every quick decision was noted, analyzed, and recorded. Lyra observed in quiet fascination. Every challenge strengthens them, she murmured. They learn from adversity, innovate when constrained, and inspire those who follow. This is why they were chosen, not because they are the strongest but because they are capable of growth beyond prediction. The humans emerged from the nebula unscathed, having demonstrated their ingenuity, resilience, and leadership. Not only had they survived, but they had gained the respect and trust of the neutral fleets they encountered within the nebula. Word of human capability spread quietly yet powerfully. Yet not all in the shadows were pleased. Caelus Thorn gritted his teeth. They succeed in every trial. Oh. Every test, every obstacle, they surpass expectations. It is unnatural. It is humanity, Lyra replied softly. Their strength lies not in raw power but in the way they think, learn, and inspire. That is why the Council hesitates, why the Synod observes, and why the galaxy will change because of them. They are the first race capable of reshaping destiny itself. Back aboard the Resolute, Kalen convened his senior officers. Humans have proven themselves once again, not by brute force but through adaptability, courage, and leadership. Every choice we make, every challenge we face, is shaping who we are, and what we can become. The galaxy is watching and we are ready. The revelations were clear. Humans were no longer passive participants. Every hidden faction, every shadowed observer, every subtle manipulation had underestimated one constant: the indomitable spirit of humanity. Challenges were no longer obstacles, they were opportunities. Survival was no longer the goal, growth was. And in the quiet spaces between stars, a galaxy-wide transformation was quietly taking shape. The shadows would continue to move, unseen and calculated, testing humans in ways no single species could imagine. Yet one truth remained: humans did not merely endure, they adapted, they innovated, and they inspired. The galaxy had yet to witness their full potential, and when it did, no force, hidden or overt, would remain unchanged. The stage was set. Trials awaited. And humanity as always would rise. Shadows and revelations. Even as humans celebrated their diplomatic victories, the galaxy's shadows stirred. Not all eyes that watched the Orion dominions rise were benign. Some observed with admiration, others with impatience, and a few with intentions far older and darker than any human could comprehend. On the hidden moon of Virilia, the Umbral Synod convened once more. Lyra Nivek stood among them, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of the chamber's embedded crystals. The humans have passed the first trial, she said, her voice echoing softly. They have survived the Council fleet, engaged diplomatically, and inspired. Yet the greater tests are still ahead. Voron Kiel, leader of the Synod's inner circle, tilted his head, his form almost indistinct in the dim light. They grow too fast even by our expectations. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, these are traits we anticipated, but the way they wield them, it is unpredictable. From the shadows, Nisra Valen of the Veil of Shadows added, her voice like silk over steel, unpredictability is what makes them perfect. The Council sees only a rising threat, but they are unaware that every human choice, every adaptation, is weaving a path we designed centuries ago. They will face challenges meant to shape, not destroy, their species. Caelus Thorn of the Crimson Oath slammed his armored fist against the obsidian table. I do not care if it was designed centuries ago. One wrong step from these humans and the galaxy will burn. They are reckless, ambitious, and yet too clever to underestimate. I say we test them, push them into conflict, and see what they are truly capable of. Lyra turned sharply. That is exactly what we must avoid. Direct conflict strengthens them in ways you do not anticipate. Every trial they survive makes them stronger, wiser, and more resourceful. They are humans, they adapt faster than any single species even the Synod can predict. Subtlety is our weapon, not overt force. Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim, humans continued their exploration and diplomatic mission. The Orion Dominion had established preliminary contact with several independent star systems, many of which had long existed in isolation or under subtle coercion by minor alien factions. The humans' reputation as ingenious problem solvers spread like wildfire. Where disputes arose, human negotiators found solutions that alien diplomats would never have considered, blending logic, empathy, and ingenuity in ways the galaxy had rarely witnessed. On board the Resolute, Kalen Riss reviewed intelligence from recently contacted systems. Captain Vol, our methods are working. More systems are willing to cooperate with humans than we anticipated. But, something feels off. Saris Vol looked at him sharply. Off? What do you mean? Signals, Kalen said quietly, faint, encrypted, and deliberate. They don't come from the Council or the known factions we've met. Someone is watching, learning. And I have the uneasy feeling they aren't just observing. At the same time, Lyra Nivek discreetly sent a subspace message to Kalen. You are being tested, it read. Not by the Council or its fleets, but by forces that prefer to remain unseen. Adapt, survive, and observe. These trials are not to punish but to shape. Trust your instincts, they are humanity's greatest weapon. Kalen frowned, reading the message. Tests, not threats, he muttered. Very well. Humans have faced impossible odds before. We survive. We adapt. And we learn. The first subtle test came in the form of an uncharted nebula, dense with ion storms and radiation pockets, yet traversed by a small fleet of neutral alien ships on a peaceful mission. The humans faced a decision: avoid the nebula, potentially missing critical opportunities, or navigate its perils to demonstrate their capability and reliability. We navigate, Kalen decided, his voice steady. Humans do not shy from challenges. We observe, adapt, and overcome. That is what makes us leaders, not followers. As the Resolute and its fleet entered the nebula, the ion storms tested shields and propulsion systems. Sensors flickered, communications were disrupted, and energy surges threatened to disable navigation arrays. Yet human ingenuity prevailed. Modular shielding and adaptive thrusters allowed ships to react instantly to environmental hazards. Pilots improvised in real time, coordinating maneuvers that alien observers had never anticipated. Hidden within the nebula, agents of the Synod, Veil of Shadows, and Crimson Oath watched silently. Every adaptation, every quick decision was noted, analyzed, and recorded. Lyra observed in quiet fascination. Every challenge strengthens them, she murmured. They learn from adversity, innovate when constrained, and inspire those who follow. This is why they were chosen, not because they are the strongest but because they are capable of growth beyond prediction. The humans emerged from the nebula unscathed, having demonstrated their ingenuity, resilience, and leadership. Not only had they survived, but they had gained the respect and trust of the neutral fleets they encountered within the nebula. Word of human capability spread quietly yet powerfully. Yet not all in the shadows were pleased. Kaylee's Thorn gritted his teeth. They succeed in every trial. Oh. Every test, every obstacle, they surpass expectations. It is unnatural. It is humanity, Lyra replied softly. Their strength lies not in raw power but in the way they think, learn, and inspire. That is why the Council hesitates, why the Synod observes, and why the galaxy will change because of them. They are the first race capable of reshaping destiny itself. Back aboard the Resolute, Kalen convened his senior officers. Humans have proven themselves once again, not by brute force but through adaptability, courage, and leadership. Every choice we make, every challenge we face, is shaping who we are, and what we can become. The galaxy is watching and we are ready. The revelations were clear. Humans were no longer passive participants. Every hidden faction, every shadowed observer, every subtle manipulation had underestimated one constant: the indomitable spirit of humanity. Challenges were no longer obstacles, they were opportunities. Survival was no longer the goal, growth was. And in the quiet spaces between stars, a galaxy-wide transformation was quietly taking shape. The shadows would continue to move, unseen and calculated, testing humans in ways no single species could imagine. Yet one truth remained: humans did not merely endure, they adapted, they innovated, and they inspired. The galaxy had yet to witness their full potential, and when it did, no force, hidden or overt, would remain unchanged. The stage was set. Trials awaited. And humanity as always would rise.